Welcome to the SWBL podcast, presented again this year by 1356 Public House. I'm your host, Brian Benware, and tonight I am joined by two Hall of Famers, Spencer Bogad and Chris Meador, to do another round of our origin stories, where we're just going to kind of dive into the history of these guys and Wiffleball and just kind of talk shop and have a good time. So, nothing big. How have you guys been? How's the off season been?
I was gonna let Chris go first. Um, Off season's been great. Unfortunately, we've had a difficult time getting together with you for our podcast, so want to
Yeah.
apologize to Wiffle Nation. It's not Brian's fault.
Yeah, apparently it
It's
is.
pretty.
Yes, it
It's
is.
it's pretty much my. Well, last time actually was your fault, but the times before that was my fault. Off season's been good. I've got a 15-month-old son who's just growing and haven't really thought much about wiffle ball to be honest. So this is fun getting back together and signed my 1 year contract a couple months ago, whenever that was. So we're only like 2 months away from the season, so we're getting pretty damn close.
Yeah, we're ramping up here for sure. So,
Yeah.
Chris, how you been, buddy?
Good. Haven't thought about Wiffle too much either. Season's coming up. Trying to stay in shape, trying to stay ready. I think we'll be okay. I think we'll be ready this year.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt that the Twins will be good. So, well, yeah, guys, let's just jump into it. And again, it's origin. So, what I want to know about first, how did you two become friends? Was it through Wiffle Ball? Was it through school?
Chris, I'll take a whack at this, but I'm pretty sure we met freshman year at Parkway South, and we met because like we knew each other. But I think didn't we have like a history class or something together, or was that sophomore year? Do you
I
remember?
don't know. I think we had Mr. Timmons.
Rosewell, no, Rosewell.
Yeah, Rosewell with Kevin Poley. That
Yeah,
was
we did.
sophomore year of high
We did
school.
we had to do an interpretive dance to Mulan. It was an Asian civilizations class, and our final we were allowed to do whatever we wanted. So I think I read off the words to Mulan's "Let's Get Down to Business" song, and Chris and Kevin like acted it out in front of the class.
No, they didn't.
Yes.
Please tell me there's a video somewhere
It
of
was
this.
probably
Probably.
pretty racist thinking back.
Yeah, like looking like that definitely would not fly today. So if anyone's offended by that, I'm actually offended that I even did that. So but yeah, I'm pretty sure we knew each other before that, but that's like in that moment, that's when me, Chris, and Kevin Poley really became pretty close, I think.
I
So
bet. I bet.
yeah.
And it's just pretty much stuck since then.
Yeah. I think we just kind of I think me and a couple other friends, we kind of became close over like we play Halo, things that like really cool high school kids do is, play video games and while everybody else is out drinking. We pretty much just played Halo and then we'd go to McDonald's sometimes. That's pretty much
Awesome.
Chris, am I wrong here? I mean,
Pretty much all you need, right?
it was Halo and
Hello,
McDonald's.
I
McDonald's.
mean, everybody was going out in college. We were playing zombies
Yeah.
and Halo 3, so getting double McDoubles with no onions.
Yes. And everyone that thinks of Chris today as like this person that works out all the time and does CrossFit, but back in high school and college, he ate McDonald's probably every day. Like every day.
Every day for at least 16 to 19 years old, every day.
Yes.
Wow.
Like every day. You get in his car and it's like he's beating a McChicken or something.
So good. That old
Yeah.
chicken was so good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice. Well, so how did you two get into wiffle ball then?
Chris, you go first this time. I'm tired of going first.
I think you were a year before me. I was in as a sub for a couple years. They didn't want me in the league. And then I think one year they expanded and they needed people. And me and Edlow were both rookies and we played with Gus, and that was our first. That was like 2008, I think. And that was my first full season.
Yeah.
I think we lost in the championship.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, we're gonna actually. So you were both rookies in 2009.
I was gonna say
You were in the same rookie class.
Edlo played the year before we did.
Okay.
But basically the way to get invited to the league, because Sam kind of had his core friends already playing. So the only way to really get in was if Gus liked you, I think.
Yeah,
And Gus and I played baseball together. And then we had this computer science class where him and I would just like act like we were doing our work, but we'd be playing Counter-Strike or some computer game. And that's how Gus and I became friends. So basically not doing our schoolwork. So I joined the league, and me, Paul, and Blake, I think, won in my first year. So
you did. Yeah, you won your first championship in 2009. So
yeah, we were 4-6 or something. Like we were under 500. We were a very bad team, and I think we only won because it was Gus's team or the best team in the league. Like 2 of the 3 players couldn't make the game, so we played. They had to play with subs, and we beat them. So
nice.
the good old days.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so yeah, we talked about your championship. You've won 4. And we'll kind of get to some of that in a little bit. But one thing I kind of wanted to mention still early on in the first days, I've heard rumors, Chris, that you were an error-prone fielder to start out. Is that true?
Air prone fielder, is that what you said?
Yeah, I was told by multiple sources that
Error.
you were error-prone, and
Well, it's
obviously
all
that is not your reputation now.
well, it's all relative. So probably yeah, probably got better
Yeah,
along the way at some
But
point.
also, Chris, also a defender is only as good as the stat keeper at the end of the day. So if Gus was keeping stats, he would just like it was all pen and paper. So he would just be like, oh, error. And then like he just like scribble it down. So like I think that also reflects on how more refined as scorekeepers our league has become too. So I'm gonna defend my guy Chris here a little
yeah.
bit.
Well, I
The
mean,
field
obviously
has
some
changed over the years too.
the
Yeah.
field has.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, there used to be rocks like on the infield.
That grass didn't used to be cut every game. Like
Yeah,
There was
we
rocks in left field.
there's
yeah,
rocks, we'd play in mud. Like
yeah. I played when we still had base paths between
yeah,
first and third, and
yeah.
That was
right there at second would just be a huge mud pit.
Before there were base paths, there weren't base paths, and the skibbies didn't have that pool. But to build the pool, they had to basically that the field wasn't as sloped as it is today. It's much more sloped. So they take a bunch of dirt, and for 2 seasons after they took the dirt, there were rocks literally everywhere.
Oh
Like it was
man,
like a parking lot. So like it was bad. It was
yeah,
very bad. Yeah.
yeah. Well, Chris, do you remember my question to follow up that though? Was there a moment where it started feeling like it clicked, or just all of us, were you just always was it always just there? And once the field conditions got better, and
no, the field conditions were never a problem. I don't know. I guess it kind of just slows down at some point.
yeah,
I guess, and you realize you have a lot more time than you think, and you just have to trust. I guess trust your native reactions, and I guess once I calm down and kind of just let it happen, I guess I got better.
yeah. Well, so following your rookie year in 2010, you yourself won an MVP, Chris. I don't know how many people realize that you have an MVP under your belt. Obviously, you're talked about with all the championships and winning and all of that, but yeah, you won a 2010 MVP, and then the year after had one of the worst teams you've ever had to play with. Tell me about that year.
I had an overachieving year, the MVP year. That was the year Sam put in that bunt line, and so I had to kind of change my approach to the weekend. But um, yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna blame my teammates. I think it was me, Michael Durstein, and Will Rath. not a bad team.
It's not- but it's not a good team.
It's not a fantastic team. We honestly we performed well. I think we went 3-7, and we were in a game, our last game of the year. We were in it late to make the playoffs, I believe. So we had a great year. We did face Kevin Poley 4 times that year.
Super sub.
As a super sub, we will do remember that, but no excuses. We almost made a magical run, actually, but that was a fun team. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Brian, can I add a note to that team?
Yeah.
I'll never forget when Chris had this team assembled. He basically was like, "Yeah, we got 2 lefties. We got Durstein. He's gonna get on. The 2 lefties are gonna hit the tree. Like we're gonna be unstoppable." Like he was hyping up this speed lefty lineup, and it ended up being like dog shit.
I was given the
So
team.
bad.
That was
I
when
know.
they gave you the team.
I know, but you were like, "Oh yeah, this is the perfect team
Yeah,
for me."
we had it. We were right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. And that season before when he won the MVP, Brian, I believe, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, in your last at bat of the season, you broke the home run record for that at the time. It's obviously changed since then. And Kyle Cornell knew Chris needed one more home run to break the record. So he was intentionally walking him. He was lobbing balls like 10 feet outside. And Chris jumped across and like backhanded like a tennis backhand, and he launched it over the trees and he broke the record.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, it was great. It was
What
great.
a moment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everyone was pretty excited. So
Yeah.
it was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
You remember that?
Well, so Spencer, you've won 3 MVPs, 16, 19, and 20. So my question is, why were the Indians so bad?
That's a great question. The first and main and pretty much only reason is we were the first team ever to have 3/4 length sleeved jerseys. And I think ultimately at the end of the day, that was like a huge red flag that we did that. Not only is it hot when you play wiffle ball, but like the way that like 3/4 rests on your forearm, it just doesn't feel good. Also, we had a girl on our team, Alex Linsky, another red flag. But really, like, the elephant in the room. We didn't play good, but also like we had 3 people, Alex Heck, John Calloway, and Spencer Bogad, the 3 people that should never, ever be on a team for anything. And I'm going to tell you why. John Calloway, hell of a guy, super nice. Alex Heck, hell of a guy, super nice. I am a hell of a guy and I'm super nice, although some people may say otherwise. That's their opinion. We're all 3 really nice people, but we're all very competitive too. And we're not like, me and Chris are tight, like really close friends, and we can basically go up to each other and be like, dude, you're playing like shit, and it won't matter. But with that team, like if we were playing bad, we all wanted to kill each other because we weren't like super, super close. We were friends, but we weren't like super close, and nothing went right. And like if someone came up to me and like, hey Spence, like try this, I'd be like, fuck you. And like John like was doing his thing, and Alex, I'm pretty sure like wanted nothing to do with that team. So I mean, it's the 3/4 length sleeve, but like a sub reason is that like you wouldn't want those 3 people doing anything for anyone. Like you might as well just pack up and leave. If you ever see us 3 on a team again, bet the house against us.
Okay, we'll do. Well, so in all seriousness, though, so of the 3 years that you won your MVP, do you have like, does one stand out more than the others for any reason?
Yeah. I mean, the most memorable one was the one where I played 6 games and hit 18 home runs and like barely lost out to the barely missed on RBIs, like very like it just worked out that way. In hindsight, like I definitely, like personally speaking, I definitely think I was the most valuable player to my team because Chris, I think when I wasn't there, the team was 0-4. And when I was there, we were 6-0, something like that. And I put up a lot of good numbers, but I don't know. That one's definitely the most memorable. I really don't remember the other two, to be totally honest. I don't remember. I know one of the years I hit 20, I tied Scott's home run record, but I know one of the years I think I broke the RBI record, but I don't know. I definitely remember the championships way more than those seasons. I mean, if before we got on here, if you would ask me what years I'd won, I wouldn't have been able to repeat back the years. I don't know. I just remember the championships and the teams. So
Well, it's a good teammate, and obviously why you guys are so successful, because there's been the Twins have always been, you have a pretty stable lineup, stable group of guys. Obviously, you rotated a couple people early on in the franchise's history, but everybody's always been, let's just do what's best to win the game. Who cares who's hot? Who cares who's getting the glory for each game? And
yeah,
I think a lot of teams really admire that, even if they don't say it. I know that for me personally, that's what I want out of our team all the time. Is it doesn't really matter who's bringing it home, as long as we're winning. And
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Brian, I'll say this just to put a bow on that. Winning is the number one priority for the Twins. But if anyone in this league tells you that their stats do not matter to them, they are lying to you. We all know if someone comes up to you and says, Gus, how many home runs have you hit? And he says, I don't know. He's lying. Gus knows exactly how many home runs. He knows how many feet they went. He knows what direction the wind was blowing. So of course, I may not remember the details, but yeah, I remember I love wiffleball. I love even in this child's game, I strive to be the best. I want to be the best. Everyone wants to be recognized. I've won 3 MVPs. Most people in the league haven't even won one, but I want to win another one. I just want to keep being good and winning. And I think, the winning is what drives us all, but obviously we want to have fun, and that's really what it's all about. So
yeah. Well, Chris, let's circle back to you real quick. So we talked about your MVP season, and then a struggling season the following year. But then right after that, you rattled off 3 straight championships with the Rays. And obviously that success has continued with the Twins. So I'm going to come to you, and then Spencer, I'm going to kick the same question to you. But where do you rank yourself all time in the history of the SWBL? You're Hall of Famers. There's a lot of great players in the Hall of Fame, a lot of guys who've been around for a long time. Where do you rank yourself all time?
All time throughout the entire league's history, I would probably put myself in the top 5. I would put Gus in there somewhere. I would put Scott in there because of not only his championships, but his longevity. I mean, the league was around 8 years before I even stepped foot into it. I can't confidently just say, oh, I put myself number 1. I would say top 5. Brett Spencer, obviously Sam Skibby. That would probably be my top 5.
All right, Spence, same question.
I'd probably put myself 9th or 10th. If you're talking, so the cool thing about the Skibby League is that it's been going on for 20 plus years, but there's eras, right? The game is just different. So my time was in the franchise era. Sam has played through every era. Gus has played through most of the eras, or not all of them. So it's really hard to I'm a stat person, historical person. I go back and look. There's so many records that'll never be broken because of the earlier eras. But to me, like Chris said, longevity is so important if you want to be the best. And some of that just has to do with right place, right time as well. But I'm going to say this: you didn't ask this question. The greatest and most influential and most valuable player in the franchise era, will include the 3-person teams too, but starting with the franchise era, hands down is Chris Meador. It's not even close. People think of our league as an offensive league, and it is, But you know what's the most valuable thing in our league is? Getting outs.
Mhm.
And there has been no one that has been better than Chris Meador getting outs. There is a reason why Chris has won 6 championships in the franchise era, which is more than anyone. He's won more championships than most franchises could even sniff. And it's all because of his defense. Chris has had ups and downs with his offense, but his defense has been consistent. He's had different players on his teams. He's had me on his team. He's had Paul, who he broke the all-time record. I think he hit 40 home runs one season. Derek Thompson was a beast with the Rays. Those guys were everything together. They break up. Chris keeps winning. Paul's still a great player. Derek had his time, but like Chris keeps winning because our whole team revolves around defense. We all can hit too. But we don't have an ace pitcher. We play defense. We do not make mistakes. So to me, if we're just talking about franchise era, like Chris, no doubt, to me is the most valuable, bar none player. Gus Gibby as well, very close second to me, but Chris definitely is like top 5, top 3 all time for that reason.
Yeah, Bill
I'd
Russell.
put you higher than top 5, Chris. I'd put you top 3.
Yeah, he's the Bill Russell of the SWBL. I mean,
That's like a
It's like that.
backhanded compliment.
is it?
Yeah,
Why?
he's more Bill Russell. People say Bill Russell because like he won, but he wasn't really dominant. Like, I don't know.
Oh, I don't think of it like that. What I think of is that the guy didn't care what he had to do to win. He was going to do it.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
he played great defense.
Yeah.
I mean, he basically changed the position at defense. So that's what I was thinking, was the guy just has an ultimate competitive spirit and wants to make his team as good as possible.
For
And
sure.
then, you can have all the flashy guys in the league that you want. Here's the guy at the top of the mountain that nobody can take down.
How, Brian, do you know off the top, the franchise era, is it 10 years old?
I think it's 10 years old. I think it started in 2010.
Okay. If I'm not
Or
mistaken,
11. Sorry, 11.
eight or 9 of the championships in the franchise era are won by Chris Meador or Brian Kenny.
Yeah.
What's that tell you?
Yeah, I made that point last year, I think, Chris, on the podcast when we did your captain's interview about how underrated I felt defense had been, and pointed out the fact that up to that point, that basically like most of the championships in the past so many years had been won by, aside from the Expos, it had been every other one. The Platinum Hands winner had won the championship.
Yeah, it's so important.
Yeah.
So important.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, let's move on. Since we're talking franchise era, let's talk about the Twins. And just we're not going to get too deep into anything this year because we'll talk about that later in another podcast. But tell me about how you two came together on what was originally the Phillies, obviously, and then it switched to the Twins, but the Twins franchise. What made that happen?
Chris, do you want to answer or do you want me to?
Yeah, sure. I vividly remember this. I texted Gus, and we had joked about this in the past, but essentially Gus wanted to start his own, bring his own people in, and essentially needed a place for Spencer and Edlow. And Paul and I were driving to Columbia one day, and we just decided, the Rays had, achieved all that we could achieve, and it would be a nice cap to just do 3 and 4 years and close out the franchise. And he wanted to go play with Alex Heck and Luke Bacula, so it all kind of worked out. And so I told Gus that, we can make it work. I brought along Will, and Edlow and Spencer joined, and we won the next year. And it was honestly kind of perfect timing, alignment of everything kind of just hit right.
Mm-hmm.
I have a different version of that story. Most of what Chris just said is very true, but what he left out some important details. Gus, Edlow, and I played on the Royals together. Okay. And everyone knows that Gus is cursed. Actually, both skibbies are cursed when it comes to winning championships, right? So Gus, unfortunately for himself, is the type of guy where if you don't perform in the big situations, he wants to dump you and get rid of you. We had a great season. I think we went like 8-2 or 9-1, like something very good season. And Edlo and I just had a bad game in the playoffs and we lost. And if I'm not mistaken, Gus texted Chris, not the other way around, and said, "Hey, I want to add these people to my team. Do you want to make a team with Edlo and Spencer? I cannot dump them without them having a team." And Chris said, "Of course. I would love to make a team with them." And you didn't ask me this point, but just about every player that Gus has ever dumped has gone on to win a championship.
I was going to ask you.
Will, Spencer, Edlo, Corey. We're throwing Mike Durstein in there too because he was a part of the Twins for one of those runs. So
For next year too, the following year too.
the very next year,
all
yes.
4 of them.
Yeah.
And hold on, one other point. He tried to reverse it with Tyler Flackney. We had Tyler Flackney, and Gus wanted him, so we gave him to him. Guess what happened? They lost. They didn't win shit. So
was that the year they went 10-0 and lost the championship?
That was the year they went 10-0, and that was also the year that we were supposed to get Raising Cane's paid for by Alex Heck for that trade, and it never happened. Same year.
So they went 10-0 after dumping you, and then lost to you in the championship.
No, the Tyler Flackney year wasn't the year after he dumped us. That was a couple years later.
Okay. I was trying to. I couldn't remember, but I was like, man, if they dumped you and then you went and beat them in the championship the next year, how sweet.
What happened was, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong. What happened was Corey played with Sam Skibby and Gus and somebody else. And we
Ty,
wanted
probably, right?
Mike Boyles.
No, I think it was Ty. I think it was Ty. They were really good.
Okay.
And we wanted Corey because he's our friend. And we thought, and we love Tyler. We love Tyler Flackney too. But we just figured, the only way that we can build a long-term thing is probably with Corey, because who knows if Tyler's ever going to come back.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that was kind of how it works. We're like, yeah, we'll take Corey. And it was a 3-team trade between the A's. Paul was on the Royals. Paul went to the A's. Flackney went to the Royals, and Corey came to us. But we were supposed to get Raising Cane's. That was part of the deal because we were giving up a lot. Tyler Flackney was runner-up MVP. So,
hey up, anyways. Alex.
Yeah, Alex, come
on. So we talked about it. We mentioned it earlier, but you've won 3 championships now. I probably talked about it a little bit, but what do you attribute the sustained success for your team? There are teams who get in the playoffs and then don't get back to the playoffs. And then there are teams who are perennial playoffs and now seem to be going downhill. And then there are, there's some fluctuation. The Yankees are there one year and then they're not there one year. And you guys are always, always fighting for that one of those spots in the championship game. What do you guys attribute to your sustained success?
I think not getting too high, not getting too low. We know what we need to do every year. We also understand, I think this is what a lot of teams and players don't understand or they just forget, is we're playing with a wiffle ball that has holes in it. And when you hit the ball, if you hit the holes differently, the ball will go differently. So the amount of variance that's involved in some of these games is incredibly high. You can't do anything about it. So all you can do is really put yourself in the playoffs, put yourself in the position to lower the variance and cut down, the randomness of it. You hit the ball 10 times and you're going to do something different 10 different times. So getting upset when you scorch one to the pitcher, isn't worth it. Just move on.
Chris,
Move on.
I couldn't help but think of Edlow while you were saying that. Just like there's a variance and like Edlow. So here's the thing. I'm gonna answer this a different way. Like you have to have talent. You can't just like, hey, we're in the right spots, but no, you gotta like Chris is the greatest defender this league's ever seen. I'm gonna just say this, like I'm one of the best hitters the franchise era has seen. Okay. Corey McCarthy won an MVP, very, very good player. I mean, every year he's consistent. And then Edlow is a really great fourth hitter. Okay. So, and then we have Will, who's underrated. I think he's finished second runner up 3 times for the Cy Wiffle. We always seem to find like a new hero every year. We all, I don't know, we just don't make mistakes. We really don't. We also like a lot of teams get riled up for a regular season game. To us, we literally look at the schedule and we say, these are the games we have to win. We're going to shoot for 6-4. We really never pitch our ace Will against like the teams we think we might play in the playoffs. So like we'll just like pitch me or pitch Chris or pitch Ed, like I don't know. It's very calculated. Like we're very big picture, don't make mistakes. And obviously you got to hit too, but
Yeah.
I think that's what it boils down to. It's like we don't make mistakes, other teams make mistakes. That's why we win more than other teams. I think that's basically what it boils down to.
Yeah. Um, which of the 3 championships so far, which one stands out to both of you the most? Does one mean more?
The most recent one to me, Chris, you can go next, but there's been this message that some people have said that we won one with Jimmy Cole. And it's like, oh, you won with Jimmy Cole, an out of town player. And then like the other one, same thing. So this most recent one, it was our guys, like it was us. We beat Jackson, who was the best pitcher in the league that year. He won the Cy Wiffle. And that was a complete team effort. Like Will was our guy. He didn't have it. So like, who cares? Like, let's do something else. And then we didn't give up. Like we came down from a lot and we came up and we won and the celebration was sick. And it was against the Yankees, which, we love them, but like, that's our fun rivalry. Like, anytime we can beat them, it's great. So to me, it's that one.
Chris?
Yeah, definitely that one for me. Correct me if I'm wrong. The Yankees have won 2 of 3, correct?
No, I don't think so.
Not 2 of 3. They won last year and they won in 2000.
Maybe it is 2 out of 3.
Is it?
I'm checking.
Yeah. Hold on. So it was the Yankees won
2002 and 2019. So yeah.
Yeah.
No, 2 out of 4.
2 out of 4.
2 out of 4. Yeah, definitely the last one. We were down 8-0 in the third in the championship, so you're not going to win many of those. So yeah, that one stuck out. Honestly, Jimmy Cole didn't hit very well with us. He pitched well. Tyler Flackney was hurt the year we won with him. So the last one probably felt the best just because there was just us there and the adversity, I guess, that we had to come through.
And Chris, and the last season was the season where Sam interviewed Brett Spencer for his preseason interview in his backyard. It was that real formal interview, and he's kind of talking some shit on Chris Meador, and I think Chris took that personally. So just had to put a cap on that ass.
No, the Brett competition's always in good favor. Yeah, I'm glad he didn't win though.
Yeah. Hey, so you guys, Chris or Spencer, you said you never really get up for a regular season game. I kind of want to circle back to that. And then you mentioned like the Yankees are kind of like the fun rivalry. Is that who you guys feel is like your biggest rival?
I don't know. Honestly, your comment earlier, like the league changes.
Yeah.
I would say early on, like our rival is whoever we think is probably the team to beat. So, like in my opinion, early on, it was the Rockies. Like that's the team that when we went up, and played them, that's who we wanted to beat. And guess what? We're 10-2 against the Rockies in our career as the Twins. Like that's the team that we felt we want to beat them. So definitely like anytime I could play Gus, like he's the best player in our league. I want to beat Gus. He's one of my best friends, but like I would love to beat them,
Mhm.
like it's fun. Like I really want to play. No offense to the Expos, but I just don't get as much joy out of beating the Expos because to be totally honest, I expect to beat them.
Mhm.
So um but I wouldn't say we don't get up for the regular season. If I said that, then that's not what
I
I
just
meant to
meant that
say.
you don't, I don't think you get as, I think what you meant was you don't get as worked up or as like,
It's just
I
a
don't,
game. It's just
yeah,
a game. Like we in my like Chris, correct me if I'm wrong. We get the schedule. What I do, there's 10 games. Where's my 6 wins at? And that I'm playing for those 6 wins. Like I don't 10-0 is not even like I really could not care about 10-0. We would love to not play in the wild card. Like obviously winning your division is huge. But to me, like if we play our game, like there's no like we're gonna lose games. I'm not gonna freak out about it. And we're also gonna win games. So it's just kind of like an even, steady thing,
mhm,
you know?
yeah. Chris, do you feel like you guys have a rivalry with anybody?
Not really. I agree with Spencer. It used to be the Rockies. Even back in the Rays days, I would still say it was the Rockies. Um, but now, no, I mean, it's tough for it to be the Yankees considering who's on the Yankees team.
Yeah.
Every rivalry has some like level of underlying hatred, and it's gonna be tough to ever really hate one of those guys, but
Mm.
competitively, we know we're gonna have a fun game when we play. It's relaxing, honestly, when we know we're playing the Yankees because we know we're not gonna have problems. If there's a confrontation, we'll be able to solve it. You don't get that with every team. So I can't call the Yankees our rivals. I would probably say we don't have one, and that's okay. Maybe it can be the Marlins, but I wouldn't call the Yankees a rival yet.
All right. Well, so the Twins have never won franchise of the year. Do you feel like you guys have gotten snubbed in the past?
No, we're too good. I think performance
Oh
wise.
God.
What? What?
I know where this is going, Brian. I know where this is going. Oh man, you weren't there for this, Chris, but I know exactly where this is going.
No.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Look at
Elaborate.
Brian's face right now.
So
Go
Chris,
ahead,
no, I'm not
Chris.
continue.
surprised.
Chris, continue. What was that last thing you said about
No,
we're too
so no, I'm
good?
not surprised. We've never won Team of the Year.
So, yeah, do you
What's
feel like, are you saying basically like franchise of the year is sort of like a participation trophy?
Kind of like most improved player in the
Okay.
NBA. Like how much more effort did you put into the league this year than you didn't put in last year?
Okay.
So it's more of a subjective, like year to year kind of thing. We can't even get the Marlins to show up to the drafts, but they're winning franchise of the year. So,
Yeah.
but no, it doesn't take the bite out of it.
All right.
Oh, this is awesome. This is so awesome. Brian, tell everyone what I said last time you asked me this question. Do you remember?
No.
You don't?
No, I mean I could look it up, but off the top of my head, I was laughing too hard and thinking about everything else.
Yeah, so I pretty much answered the same way, and you were very offended
Yeah.
because I said really at the beginning of the year, there's 3 or 4 teams that can win the championship, and there's 3 or 4 teams that can win franchise of the year. And this is not a Venn diagram. They are two
Mhm.
separate bubbles. So yeah, I mean, franchise of the year, the Brewers won it a lot early
Yeah.
on when we first had the award because they went all out and they absolutely deserved it. And they were a good team. But usually, no offense, usually the correlation is we have the big kids table over here, and then we have the little kids table over here. And the little kids eat their snack is franchise of the year. And the big kids, the ones that sit at the big boy table, they eat that gold trophy, which we
Mhm.
like to call a championship. So are we offended we've never won franchise of the year?
That you've never been relegated to the
Brian,
little kids table.
Brian, I've never even thought twice about winning that award. So no, I'm not offended.
Brian, hear me out. Hear me
Yeah.
out. It's like winning a beauty model pageant and then
But it's
them
plus
giving
size.
you and then them giving you miscongeniality.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that kind of defeats the point, you know?
Yeah.
Brian is
Um,
so offended right now.
no, I'm good. We've only ever won it. I've only ever won it once.
Well,
So
so you know how that tastes,
It's
don't
never
you?
what
So you tasted some granola crackers. Don't you want a steak?
no,
Don't you
I've
want to
gotten
taste a
to
steak?
taste. Yes, I do want a steak. I've gotten a few of the crumbs, like gold flake crumbs off the trophy by making it to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And that's what I want more of.
There's like a little sip of champagne.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
yeah,
the eggs have won franchise of the year.
that's true.
Yeah.
They've also made it to the championship game.
That
You
was
know who?
consolidation for the year after the championship run.
Hey, Brian, sorry to
Mm,
hijack your podcast here, but
you're good.
I got a quick story. So the Expos, we all know, won the championship, right?
Yeah.
Okay. For everyone in the league that's listening to this, all 12 of you, there's a secret thing that happens every year. Okay. After everyone leaves on Monday, the same group of people, we're hanging out at the pool and we go get in the Skibby's hot tub and we just talk rumors. We talk shit. We're like, who's going to this team? Who's trading? It's all fun. But I'll tell you what, Brian, that year everyone was so pissed that the Expos won the championship. And we all rose our hand and we said, if you think the Expos are going to win more than 3 games next year, put your hand down. And no one put their hand down. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not all about just like, I don't know. There's a little bit of like some underlying storylines here. So this may be news. I guess my point is this may be news to you about the big kid table, the little kid table. But us big kids, we talk about the little kid table quite a bit. Okay. So if you want the intel, just come, unbuckle your high chair and just pull up a chair. Chris is rubbing his eyes.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. All right. Well,
Chris
I don't know
is
how to
like Chris is like Spencer is such a douche.
I don't know how to transition this, so I'm just gonna dive in. Let's talk about NWLA. So how how has your experience been playing in for the national team for the SWBL national team and playing at NWLA?
Chris,
How's it been? It's
Yeah.
been awesome. It's been awesome. Honestly, some of the most fun weekends I've had are at the NWLA tournament. One year, me and the Skibbies and Ty Butler made a week-long trip to go to Louisville, go to the All-Star game. I'm sorry, Ohio. Go to the All-Star game and then go to nationals. We've done a lot of fun things. It's been an awesome experience. Wiffleball is fun. The camaraderie is better, and it's treated me well.
yeah, I agree. NWLA, like I think I played in it 9 years and something like that, something crazy. And definitely like totally different weekend than Memorial Day, but like one of the best weekends of the year. We never won, but I mean, I know this sounds really corny, but like I have never had so much fun with friends, with Chris and Gus and Sam and Brett and the Polies and whoever like all these other people that have joined us. Jackson, sorry, Jackson. Cam, just never had so much fun. It was so much more about the time we spent together, just doing the dumbest stuff, just goofing around the hotel room, but also like competing at a really high level, really like playing games that mattered. But yeah, but Chris and I both retired this year, so
Yeah.
we are no longer. So
Yeah, I was
very
gonna get to that. So, will you miss it now that you guys have announced your retirement from the NWLA?
yeah, I think so. I already miss it. I mean, I purposely planned a vacation with my wife's family asked if that week was available. I said yes, let's plan a trip because part of me was like like my arm was just killing me last year, and I knew like I'm getting older. Um, I'm not gonna miss playing wiffle ball, but I'm gonna miss the weekend for sure.
Mhm.
Like, we all are gonna get older. I'm gonna know Gus and Sam and Chris and Jackson, everybody, the rest of my life. And 20 years from now, 30 years from now, we're all gonna get together and talk about our times playing wiffle ball. And we're not gonna talk. We won't remember the results. We won't remember. We'll remember some plays or remember this guy. He was whatever. But those times we spent together just doing the silly stuff, definitely that's the toughest part to me.
Yeah. Chris, you gonna miss it?
I'm gonna say I don't think I'm gonna miss it, and I'll explain why. I think looking back, what I enjoyed the most was, like Spencer said, the hotels, hanging out, Buffalo Wild Wings, playing up and down the river. We played Monopoly a few years. Like, just that experience is what I, looking back, enjoyed the most. The wiffle ball for me is going to be different for me, I think, versus pretty much anyone else on the team because I don't pitch. That takes a lot, much different mindset to the weekend than someone who's pitching. You can kind of, if you're struggling in one area, you can kind of, I don't know, get back out there and give it another try in a different area. And I don't know if you've noticed, but competitive football is not a hitter sport. Um, Never was and it never will be. So it's a little different approach. Will I miss seeing 90 every single at bat? Probably not. Um, uh, I'll miss playing in big games you know, with the boys. But to me, the wiffle ball wasn't as fun as the weekend. There's just not a lot of gameplay. There's not a lot of action. There's not a lot of, it's pray someone hits a home run.
Hmm.
It's not there's not a lot of fluidity to it. Um, but yeah, there's certain aspects of the weekend that I'll definitely miss, but I wouldn't say the gameplay. Also, another bugaboo I have, um, through no one's fault of our own, like we get in there at the last second and we're out as soon as we can. And I get that, there's reasons for that. There's more important things to be doing, but it just kind of changes I guess, the mindset, the outlook on the weekend. Um, there's more important things to worry about. And when you're there, these dudes, it's the most important thing in their entire life.
Yeah.
And it's just it's a different vibe than we can bring to the table. And they dedicate their entire lives to this. And we play twice a year. So
Yeah.
it was nice to be around, not only around but compete. But the game has kind of evolved.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Chris, how long have you played?
Played a very long time. Um,
Played a year or two longer than me.
yeah,
I think it was 2 years.
yeah,
Did
I
you go the
was,
first year with Sam and Oldenburg?
no,
Okay, then I
I
think you
guess
played
the
one more year than me.
second year I
Yeah,
went with London and then I played
yeah.
in the double elimination.
Okay, cool. Any memories stick out, like isolated memories stick out from your time going to the
Oh yeah.
weekend?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, how could you forget Sam Skibby hitting a bomb off Stephen Farkas? Like
Bending the
just
bat.
totally, oh my God. And poor Jackson overlooked threw a no-hitter. Like he dominated. They couldn't touch him. I think they maybe put two balls in play. He dominated. That whole run up there was great. I mean, unfortunately for myself, like I always seem to be finding myself in like our biggest games, and I was over in all three of our championship games. I just couldn't get it done. I mean, I lost to Stephen Farkas. I lost to whoever the hell that guy was last year from Circle City that was throwing like 100 miles an hour. I don't remember his name. Dominant. And then lost to Rotor or Bush. I don't know. So that I'll never forget the losses. I mean, I will never forget those losses, but definitely Sam Skibby, Gus. I mean, Gus had so many clutch hits, home runs, like in moments that just seemed impossible. Gus is the most clutch hitter I've ever been around. He's a freak at everything he does. Um, Everyone seemed to have a moment. Chris had moments. Cam had moments. We all of us on the team remember those moments. But I mean, to me, it's Sam Skibby's
You
home
didn't
run.
even bring up Sports Center.
Oh yeah, yeah. But that was really cool for me personally. But like, I I don't know. Like Sam's home run to me is like one of the coolest things I've ever witnessed in my life. Like if you've watched the video, I'm on the on deck circle and I throw my bat. I'm just like so hyped. And that feeling you get in that moment, you just can't replicate it. There's nothing in your life you could do to replicate like caring so much and wanting to win and like the unthinkable happening. And Sam Skibby gave me that moment, like the most clutch hit you'll ever have. But yeah, I mean, yeah. And then also like the three times we lost championship game, whole team gathered together, just said we loved each other because we did. I'll never forget those moments either.
Mhm. Chris, anything stick out for you, buddy?
Yeah, Sam's home run. Not only because it was off Farkas and because it was the semis, but that was our sixth or seventh game of the day.
Yeah.
We started at 6 a.m. and we were in double elimination. We had to
We had to
win
win. Yeah, we had to win.
in like 100-degree weather, and we were facing some phenomenal pitchers. We played 7 games that day, I think, and so yeah, the fact that we even beat WSCM was pretty remarkable to get to the championship.
Mm-hmm.
That one sticks out. Um, 10 innings with Farkas and Spencer in the championship sticks out. Um, yeah, I don't know. We always got respect, which, from the jump, we got respect. Wiffleball is definitely a tactical sport. Um, as far as your pitchers go, you have a stud usually, and you have a stud part B. And when the double elimination bracket hits, it's a tactical approach on who gets what because you can't pitch 2 games in a row. Sam and I always talk about this. There was not one game in double elimination in our competitive history that we faced a B pitcher.
Yeah.
Every game of
Yeah.
9 years of that I went there, we didn't see a single B pitcher in a game. These teams would, I'm telling you, these teams, and it happened. These teams would rather lose the round before and burn their stud and not burn their stud and save him for us than guarantee a win.
Yep.
Every team at that tournament would have rather lost than have wasted their stud and face us with their B pitcher. So Sam and I always talk about that, and we take respect from that. Um, in a different simulation, it works out differently, but
Mhm.
the stars never aligned.
Yeah.
But we'll remember the good wins.
Yeah. Why did you decide to step back or retire from the NWLA?
For me, the past few years, there's always a point at the weekend where it's like, oh shit, we still have a 6 hour drive back, and it's like 2 o'clock, and I'm standing out in the rain. Um, it's just I don't get out what I used to get out of it, which was the extra time with the Skibbies and even Ty. I have a lot of great memories with Ty from that tournament. The Polies, Jackson, Edlow. Edlow went 1 year. Um,
Peter.
Tony Fiorello went. We drove down 1 year, so that's what I take out of that weekend. And the wiffle ball is just kind of extra.
Mm.
And towards the end, we just did. People just don't have time for all that extra stuff, and that's kind of what
Yeah.
I took out from it.
Yeah.
So that's why I
Yeah.
decided.
I made the decision about 2 months before the tournament happened. I told the guys that this was going to be it. And for me, like, competition to me is like the greatest gift my father ever gave me, was just being a competitor and just what it means. I love competing. There's nothing like it. And like saying no to that was really tough. But like, to me, like, my arm, what I do is I pitch and I hit, and my arm, like, the ball just doesn't move the way it used to. Um, I don't know about velocity. Anyways, I just felt like I was still going to this tournament at the end of the day, because I knew if I didn't go, then I'm not like irreplaceable. Like, I can be replaced. I'm going to be replaced this year, but I just felt like kind of like a sense of loyalty to Gus and Sam and Chris, that like this was our thing. All four of us, Jackson too, but like I felt a sense of loyalty, and that's why I kept going. And like when the weekend would get there, I'd get hyped up for it, be like, all right, let's go. And then we'd start talking about it. But like, it's just one of those things where I don't know, there's so much drama too. Like, I was just kind of over it. Um, so I'm definitely taking this year off. I'll say
Mm.
that.
All
See what
right. Cool.
happens.
Cool. All right. Last question, not related to the NWLA, just overall. What are you guys looking forward to most this year for SWBL? Season 21, entering our
Yeah.
third decade.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy if you
That
really
is
think
crazy.
about it. I
Yeah.
mean, there's nothing like it. I'm looking forward to seeing all my friends. I mean, Chris and I'd consider Chris one of my best friends. We don't see each other enough. Part of that is I have a 15-month-old son. Brian, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You just like your time gets consumed by that, and it's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. But like that weekend, everyone in my family knows like that is dedicated to my friends, and wiffle ball. So definitely would love to win another championship. But yeah, I get to see my boy Will. He lives in Texas. I get to see Corey, who's been traveling all over the freaking country, just trying to get through his schooling. I get to see Chris and all the other people that travel in from out of town. Gus, I get to spend 4 days with Gus. So valuable. Um, so that's truly like the best thing. That's why our weekend's so great.
Mm. Chris?
Yeah, definitely the friends. The championship is secondary. Um, just hanging out with people. Uh, it's funny. You can see people. There's some people I see once a year at this place at this weekend and never miss a beat. It's completely normal. It's completely fine. It's just a comfortable environment. It's a safe space. It's um it's a comforting space that we all know that we'll have. Um, you don't have to, you know, you're gonna see those people at least once a year, and it's a comforting feeling.
Yep. Can't agree more, man. Well, guys, that's gonna wrap up this this podcast. Real quick, I want to thank our sponsors: 1356 Public House, Cardinal Blinds and Shutters, Ketty Nice Center, Corner Pub and Grill, Doug Meyer, and the With Mojo, new sponsor. Andy's Frozen Custard, Breckenridge Brewery, Daily Smokehouse, Spencer Gear, Chill Designs, Breckex, and Cool Bots. Breckenridge Brewery, repping. We've got we're going to have a lot of podcasts coming as we get closer and closer to the season. The league is about to wrap up the top 21 countdown. So we'll do a podcast to review about that. We'll start getting into our captain interview series. And I think we're going to have some surprise guests, at least on one podcast before the season kicks off in May. So stay tuned for that. I think it will be a very enjoyable one. I'm probably most excited about recording that. If schedules can align, it should be a fun one. So just stay tuned. You'll know it when you hear it. So
wow. Sounds like, were we like plan B, or like you're just not excited for this one?
This was always planned. You've been at the top of my list for a while.
Okay.
So this was an idea that somebody brought to me, and I'm just hoping that it works out this year because I think it will be a lot of fun. So
cool. All right.
Yeah.
Well, you piqued my interest.
Yeah. So stay tuned, everybody. As we get closer to season 21. For Chris and Spencer, thanks for listening. If you like the podcast, subscribe, give it a like, tell your friends, and we'll see you at the Blur in May. See ya.